We are in sunny and beautiful Charleston, South Carolina. We're ready to embark on a short trip through the Charleston Harbor to a very historic location. Adventure Harbor Tours offer boat tours, private boat charters, sunset boat cruises, field trips, eco-boat tours, and Morris Island boat tours in Charleston. Today we embark on a journey to historic Morris Island. Morris Island is unspoiled, undeveloped, and undeniably the ecological jewel of Charleston Harbor. It's also rich in history, scenery, and vibe. Along the way, we shall see plenty of dolphins, birds, and a lighthouse. Morris Island is an 840-acre, uninhabited island in Charleston Harbor in South Carolina, accessible only by boat. The island lies in the outer reaches of the harbor and was thus a strategic location in the American Civil War. Morris Island was heavily fortified to defend Charleston Harbor, with the fortifications centered on Fort Wagner. It was the scene of heavy fighting during the Union Army's campaign to capture Charleston, and is perhaps best known today as the scene of the ill-fated assault by the 54th Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry, an African-American regiment. The regiment and this assault, where it suffered over 50% casualties, was immortalized in the film Glory. The Battle of Fort Wagner, Morris Island, was fought on July 18, 1863. Union Army troops commanded by General Quincy Gilmore launched an unsuccessful assault on the Confederate fortress of Fort Wagner, which protected Morris Island, south of Charleston Harbor. Fort Wagner was commanded by Confederate General William B. Taliaferro. An attempt was made on July 11th to assault the fort, the first battle of Fort Wagner, but it was repulsed with heavy losses to the attackers because of artillery and musket fire. In all, about 1,500 Union soldiers were killed, captured, or wounded in the assault of July 18th, although this number has never been accurately ascertained. Morris Island is now smaller than 1,000 acres and even less at high tide. Its proximity makes it subject to extensive erosion, and much of what is left of Fort Wagner has eroded away. This includes the place where Union soldiers had been buried. It was presumed that shortly after the end of the Civil War, the soldiers' remains were disinterred and reburied at the Beaufort National Cemetery in gravestones marked as unknown. However, over the years, hurricanes and heavy storms uncovered some of these unmarked graves, and even as late as 1987, the remains of 14 unknown soldiers were uncovered on the western side of the island. Spookiest of all, 12 of these bodies were missing their skulls and other body parts. Today, some residents on the western side of the island have reported strange phenomena, like hearing voices in their homes and yards and even smelling burning flesh in their kitchens. One resident described an experience in the middle of the night where she felt like a small child was jumping on her bed. According to legend, a Confederate soldier known as Yoakum discovered 6 treasure chests on Morris Island from an elderly black woman who lived on the island at the time. She claimed that no one stole the riches because a pirate's ghost protected them. On the night before the historic assault on Morris Island began, Yoakum and a friend went treasure hunting. They dug up, but a sudden storm hit them as they began to dig. The pirates stood and watched over them from afar as they dug in a fleeting flash of lightning. They took off as swiftly as they had appeared and never returned, until 50 years later, Yoakum would not reveal his tale. Morris Island is also the site of the Morris Island Light, a lighthouse that stands on the southern side of the entrance to Charleston Harbor, north of the town of Folly Beach. When constructed in 1876, the light was approximately 1,200 feet from the water's edge. However, the construction in 1889 of the jetties, which protect the shipping lanes leading to Charleston Harbor, altered ocean currents. resulting in the rapid erosion of Morris Island and the destruction of many structures and historical sites, such as Fort Wagner. By 1938, the shoreline had reached the lighthouse, forcing its automation as it was no longer safe or practical to keep its staff. And so, after a short but delightful visit to Morris Island, we board our boat, enjoy a beautiful sunset, and head back inland. We highly recommend a visit to Morris Island if you are in Charleston, South Carolina.